Hey guys, what is up? Back with a video on how esports drivers drive in the wet versus the dry. So we're going to be looking at two laps, one from Kevin Balez, dry versus wet, and then another one from Jarno Opmeer, inters versus dry. And I got some kind of notes on the side, so as we go, I'll try to point out some of the things that I have written over there. So first lap is Kevin Balez at Spa. Um, Wet lap and a dry lap. The dry lap was slowed down to match the time of the wet lap. So sometimes they're in sync, sometimes one is actually ahead, just kind of how the straights get scaled or slowed down. But right ahead, I had the breaking point for dry versus wet. The wet lap, typically they're braking about 20 to 25 meters earlier than a dry lap. So you can kind of see this as one was braking at 100 meters, one is at 125. Going into the lap here, both getting on throttle. Another thing I noticed is that the wet laps, they get on throttle maybe about 20% less. Kind of the initial jump or peak quick just to get on throttle is a little bit less. So here down the main straight here, not much here, but again, braking at about at 80 meters versus 60 meters. Another thing that they're doing is in heavy braking zones. It's not full heavy braking. It's usually about 90% brakes and it's 90% hold in terms of how hard you're hitting the brakes, and then you're doing the trail brake. Some people would think that you do like an oscillation at the top of the braking zone, but no, they're not really doing that. They're just kind of knowing that I don't have 100% braking power because I'll lock the tires in the wet. So I do either 90, between kind of 90 to 100, a little bit depending on how wet the track is. And another thing to notice is that I would have thought they're using a wet line. No, the lines are exactly the same between the wet and dry. They're not really being afraid of using any of the curbs. Obviously, they're being a little more careful on the curbs, but they're still using all the curbs and they're still using the entire track. So a little out of sync now, but at this corner, he wasn't 100% on the brakes here, and then on the dry he was. A little bit slower to get on throttle. And then obviously a different gear just because the corners are slower. Here we're, braking 80%, but at this corner we're braking 100%. Again, this corner you get a lot of understeer, so you gotta just kind of try to correct for that as you're going in. Again, using all the curbs in those last few corners. One's downshifting to 6, one's downshifting to 7th, using the full track on the exits. Again, not really hitting, you can go back a second. Not hitting 100%, hitting kind of between 90 and 100% braking. Obviously hitting 100% braking in the dry, and it's about 10 to 20 meters of when they're actually engaging the brakes, obviously well before the curb. Well before the curb, we're starting braking. Here, starting braking kind of around the 50 meters mark, so that's kind of the 20 meters that you see in the wet. Again, using full inside curb on the right, both of them. Mounting the curb over here, running out the exit curb here, using a bit of entry, and then both of them, they get kind of one wheel into this kind of gully. They don't get all the way onto here, but they get one wheel onto that red and white curb, or red and yellow curb. And then just straight. You can skip ahead a little bit here. Again, here, big braking zone, 140 meters versus 120 meters. Big braking zone, not 100% in the wet. One's in third, one's in second. And then a little slower, just how you're getting on. Well, I guess they both get on pretty slow there. But and generally also the wet lap, just because the corners are taking longer, the movements are a bit slower. So the trail braking happens a little bit slower. You're on your peak amount of braking for a little bit longer, whether that's 80 to 90%. So let's look at a inter lap and compare that to a dry. Now this one's from Jarno. and this one's at Brazil. I don't have any audio for this just because he's talking over. But so here we go. Braking zone. The difference between, so this is a wet interlap, and this is a almost dry lap. It's still about 2 to 3 seconds off a full dry lap, but it's closer to a dry lap. I think this was on like either W or PSGO from several months ago. Difference in braking on an inter is only like 5 meters, and that's about the length of a car. So here he's braking a little bit, not great area to see, but he's braking about 5 meters earlier on this interlap. He's not at 100%. He's at 95. Sometimes he gets to 100 at some corners, but he's mostly at 95. In this dry lap, he misses the apex there, but you want to hit that. Getting over here, getting a little bit more aggressively on throttle in the softs. Here, coming up here, see if we can get the braking point. He's braking right at 100. Here, he's braking kind of as the car is coming past 100 meters. Again, inter, we got a little pixelation there, but he is getting up to 100 braking at this corner. So both of the corners he's doing that. Again, they're both using the same lines here. There's nothing really that different between the lines of the dry and the wet. Coming over here, using all the track. Sometimes the jump on throttle, again, it's a little bit less in the inter, being a little bit more careful. Here you can kind of see it at similar points. Here's at like 40%, that jump on throttle. Here he's at 60%. Again, pretty much flat out, a little bit of lift here in the inter. Braking, not doing 100% braking, 100% braking in the dry. Both, he misses the curb a little bit here, but, and then they're both using that exit curb. So that's basically all of us two are just going over the points again. Not braking 100%, getting almost to 100% in the inter on some corners, about 90% on the wets. Not doing like any weird oscillations when you're at that peak, just holding it for a bit and then starting to trail off. Using the same racing line. I was a little bit surprised by that. I would have thought maybe some corners you don't take the curbs, but they were using the same curbs all the time. Jump on throttle, it's a little bit less. Just coming out of some corners, you're not as aggressive on throttle, which makes sense when you have less grip. Slower overall movements. You're trailing for longer. You're getting on throttle a little bit slower just because the corner is taking longer. And you don't see that because I've scaled these laps, but obviously the dry lap is faster. And then earlier braking is about 20 meters on the wet tires, 5 meters on the inters. So that's what I have for now. Thank you very much for watching. Give any future ideas for videos you'd like me to see in the comment section. But thank you. Bye.